All right, hello, good morning. It is now Sunday, November 10th. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. So, first off, I want to thank all the veterans for that. I got my Armed Forces hat on today. We're here to talk Rams Dolphins, and we did find a Dolphins fan. I'm going to do some first. We got Chad. We're going international over in Germany. Got the Germany game going on. What's going on, Chad?
Not a whole lot. Just trying to enjoy this game they threw over here.
I mean, it's funny the time zone difference. I know Dan's on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast, and right now I'm getting my morning coffee, and you're probably ready for your afternoon dinner, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then I said we got Rams, Dolphins. That's actually gonna be tomorrow, Monday night game. But we have, as always, Ryder from Turf Show Dan, Turf Show Times. Dan, what's going on, Dan?
Hey, thanks for having me, Sammy B. Happy to be here. Turf Show Times, Rams, Dolphins will be fun. And then Chad, just thank you so much for doing this. This is our first international episode with you being overseas, and I don't know, really glad to have you on, especially since you're a Dolphins fan. Want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and we'll get that away. Thanks for being here as well. It's a new thing we're trying. We're trying to do just one game matchup. The Rams first, whoever they're playing. So I'm glad you're able to find time with us. I mean, I want to say in this series, the Rams and Dolphins don't play often, and the Dolphins dominate this series. They're 12-2. The
Yeah,
last time the Rams beat the Dolphins was in 2001 with Kurt Warner at the helm. Um,
agreed.
I
Okay.
mean, we're gonna hop right
Um,
into it. I just want to bring up a couple notes real quick. The Rams, I think they have a little bit of juice at home. They're 7-1. Their last game, last 8 at home. Sean McVay between Sunday night and Monday night is 8-3. So I'm happy it's a Monday night game. Tua, unfortunately, has lost 5 straight night games going back to last season. And going back to last season, he's 1-6. So I'm sorry about it, but I want to hear your perspective, Chad. What do you think of the Dolphins season now that Tua's back? And is he fully healthy? And what do you think for this one?
I mean, you see what we look like without him, and
Yeah,
it's not good.
no,
But these past couple games we had back with him, I mean, we still move the ball, we still put up points, but it's just I think we're kind of a one-sided team. Like we can score, but I don't think our defense is there. So I think with this game tomorrow, that whoever holds the ball last is probably going to want to get it. I mean, in my honest opinion, I think the Rams and the Dolphins are pretty evenly matched as far as in terms of offense and defense because they both give up a lot of points. So, but I think the Rams might edge this one out on us, to be honest.
Yeah, and before I kick over to Dan, I did bring it up. This is the Rams offense versus the Dolphins defense. As you can see, a lot of green on the Dolphins side. I'm gonna hop over to the offense side. I mean, the offense got some red, but as you said, Tua has been out for a while, so it kind of could be misleading. Rams defense
correct. Yeah,
started off pretty slow, but they've scored in 4 straight. I think Miami, I think they're lowest overall total points scored, but again, that was without Tua. So I think with him, it's definitely a dangerous team. But all right, Dan,
Yeah.
what are you thinking? Any highlights you want to talk about for this matchup?
yeah. I mean, I won't bury the lead, as they say. I am picking the Dolphins for this game. I've been wrong about the Rams the last 3 games, which is fine. They've been winning, but I picked the Vikings to win, and the Rams won. Last week they picked Seattle, and I picked Seattle, and I am going to pick Miami. So I hope the Rams keep winning, but I just don't see if we just gave up 180 yards, I think, and 2 touchdowns to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I just
Yeah.
don't see how we can stop Tyreek Hill, assuming he plays, which he is questionable, but I think he's playing. I think that's a little bit of a smokescreen. I don't know
Yeah.
if you have any inside information on that, Chad.
No, I mean, I just saw the alert myself. It's just like his wrist. I'm like, he's probably the one of the toughest wide receivers in the game. I mean,
I agree.
he may be listed as questionable, but he plays pretty much the whole entire season for the past 3, 4, 5 years. So
He makes me nervous. And then if we do bracket him, Jalen Waddle's really good too. And we've given up some yardage. Like when we played the Packers, they gave up a huge shot to Tyler Kraft, the tight end. So I could see Johnu Smith getting some
exactly, I was
work as
supposed to say he's
well.
definitely a big difference maker for
You
us.
guys
Like I
have a
saw that with
good
that last
running
game.
game.
Yeah,
I'm nervous as a Rams fan for this one, I guess.
I mean, when I put this graphic together, the Rams are favored by 1. I believe it's 1.5. So yeah, definitely almost a pick on, pretty close. I had the
Yeah.
Rams winning this one. I had a final score of 26-18, so that'd also be to the under. So Chad, you're gonna be the tiebreaker. You taking your Dolphins, or who do you think's gonna win this one?
again, I'm going with the Rams, man. I
Oh,
don't know
wow.
who could punch somebody last week. That dude's ramped up. Like I don't know. I mean, you guys might explain to me what happened to that one, but I don't. I mean, I just think, like I said, You got Matt Stafford back there, who's just a younger Brett Favre and more accurate.
Sure.
You got Kyron, you got Puka, you got Cooper. Cup, is he playing too or no?
Yeah.
Yep, he's playing.
I don't know, man. I just think the Rams is like a much better offense. Like I said, whoever holds the balls last probably going to win the game. But I think that's going to be the Rams.
I have, and this kind of agrees with your point. I have the game as like, I didn't write the article, but I was thinking about it yesterday while I was taking a walk. Maybe like 27-24, and kind of exactly what you said. I think Tua gets the ball, marches down the field, walk-off field goal type thing, or maybe gets a field goal and gives the Rams less than a minute, and they just don't get it done. We'll see. Obviously, I'm picking the Dolphins, which is different because you're picking the Rams, but I think it's going to be tight. I think both teams get over 20 points. I think it is going to be. And the thing is, too, and with you actually watching them week in and week out, I mean, if Tua's been playing all year, I think you guys have at least 2 more wins, maybe 3 more wins. Like, your record is really not – the Dolphins are not as bad as that record. You just didn't have your quarterback. And I think you guys really would be wise to get a backup quarterback for next year because I love Tua, but he gets hurt.
I honestly, when the owner, Stephen Ross, gave him all that money, man, as a Dolphins fan, I got sick because I was just like, yeah, I understand we play good with him, but like, he's injury prone, and we've seen the horrific injuries that he gives us. But I think we should go for somebody that's a lot bigger. I mean, we was like 6'3", 6'4", some kid out of college that can actually has an arm. Like, we had a chance to get Justin Herbert, but we took Tua. So, I mean, could you imagine what the Dolphins would look like with Justin Herbert? I mean, come on.
And stuff like that, you wonder, because you get Tua before Tyreek Hill. So would you get Tyreek Hill if you had Justin Herbert? Like, stuff like that. But I guess butterfly effect stuff. But no, I really like Tua. But to your point, his arm, I would not say his arm strength is his best trait. I think he has excellent decision-making, and he is really athletic. Like, he can run. The problem is, as you mentioned, when he runs, he gets hit. And when he gets hit, we've seen him have some really bad injuries, specifically the concussions that we've seen. But I love Tua. I think he is a starting caliber quarterback. I think Mike McDaniel. Yeah, Mike McDaniel. I was thinking of Mike McDonald. Mike McDaniel, I think he's a real one, like a great coach. I think even if your season doesn't pick up, I don't think you fire him. I think you ride that ship and for now. The Dolphins are okay. Yeah, your division's really hard because the Bills look great, which I didn't anticipate the Bills looking as good as they are.
Nobody did. I thought once they got rid of Diggs, I thought that was it. But no, they're still moving the ball.
No, they look great. Anyways, I guess I share all that to say, like, this should be a close game. This might be a tight one. Yeah. Both defenses are a little bit middling. Like, you guys have Jalen Ramsey, who's an excellent playmaker. We have Jared Verse, who can make some noise on the edge. But collectively as a unit, I feel like both teams have given up a lot more points than they want to, so that should be interesting for the offenses. We'll see. What are you thinking, SamMeeBee? Any more numbers?
Yeah, I had a couple things. When I was looking at the schedule, I see after the Rams, the Dolphins play home. At home, they host the Raiders and New England. Those should be 2 winnable games, but I think, say they lose to the Rams and lose one of those 2, maybe sitting at 3-9, 3-8.
Yeah,
at some point, do you guys bench Tua because Miami or Buffalo's running away with that division? Do you think if you guys lose, do you continue to?
You go first, Chad, because it's your team. I say no for whatever it's worth. I don't think you bench Tua.
And I do say just a quick moment. I do know I have a financial interest in the Dolphins winning any game, so I want them to keep putting Tua out.
In that pool league that we're in?
Yeah. Dan and I are in a pool league. You pick your amount of teams. I have 6 teams. And
it is a lot of fun.
Each win gets you a point. And I'm the only person, I think I'm tied for 10th. No one ahead of me or tied with me has Miami. So every point I get from them helps me out tremendously. But sorry, I delayed the answer.
No, it's fine. It's just, yeah, you're right. We get down to 3-9. There's 6 games left in the season, 5-6 games left in the season. I mean, if you look at the way Tua plays now, when he runs, he actually slides now, which is what we've been wanting from the get-go. But the other thing that I noticed is, I don't know if you guys really watched the past few games, but when defenses like DNs or rushers, like, they don't hit him anymore. They just They do like a spies, like in Madden. You just do a QB spy,
I
basically.
don't mean to laugh, but there was a play last week where he kind of ran out of bounds, or he ran on the sideline, and players literally they like held up, like they didn't. It looked
Yes.
like they didn't want to touch him, and he got a few extra yards out of
Yeah.
it.
I
I
mean,
kind of saw that too. Yeah,
it's different with him now. I mean, they were already doing it with quarterbacks already, but now with Tua, because everybody's seen these injuries, they
yeah.
don't want to see that stuff again. So
Hmm.
I mean, I don't see him getting benched. I don't see, but I also, as a fan, I don't see the reason in him playing the rest of the season
Playing if you're
because
not going to make the playoffs. Yeah,
yeah, he
that's
needs to
fair.
rest and we need to really make sure he's okay. And then I think the Dolphins, as an organization, have to really look at, all right, we need to get somebody a little bit more durable in there. And like I said, I love Tua. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he should be in the NFL, man. To be honest, I hate to say it, but
No, you're good.
that's what I think.
Yeah, no. Well, we wanted to have you on so that you could voice your opinion. So I appreciate it. We talked about it with Gillies last week, not to belabor it, but we were talking about like the Chris Olave situation, I think, and just or no, we were talking about Devontae Adams. Check that because a few weeks ago when they played the Jets get their win against Houston. Devontae Adams looked like he had a serious concussion, and he came
Mhm.
back out and he ends up getting the go-ahead game-winning touchdown or whatever. Puts him up by 2 scores, I guess, and forgive me for my rant, but it really is. It's kind of up to the players, but it's also up to the league to keep players safe. And I don't know that they're doing as good of a job as they want
I
to. And
think
it's
the
really
NFL has a
weird.
big image problem with concussions now, and I think with Tua, I think somebody should have came in from up top and be like, no, don't let this
Yeah.
guy play anymore. Like we don't want to see this on TV like that. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's up to the players, it's up to the teams, but I think also NFL has to look at this like a brand or an image.
Yeah.
Like this is what you're putting out to the world. I mean, and I, I don't know. You have to care about player safety. You have to.
It's and to the image of it, the optics, which I've been saying that since his concussion, I guess a couple years ago.
Yes.
The first one that we know about that we all saw on TV, and I believe they call it fencing position with the hands. And then we
Yes.
see it again when they play the Bills just 6-7 weeks ago, or week 2, I guess. And it's really because when you watch that as a fan, and I'll tie in a little fantasy football as well. Chad and I were in the championship during the DeMar Hamlin situation, and it
Yes.
really took the fun. Not to make it about us, but it just makes it not fun to watch. And I think the
Exactly.
NFL should be wary and make sure guys need to be safe. I mean, but it's so tough because I also feel like, well, it's their decision. If Tua wants to play, he doesn't have to worry about Aaron Donald this week, which is great for him. But he does have to worry about Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. And I mean, he's going to get hit. He's playing in the NFL. He's going to get hit. And as nice as it
Complex
looked like
sport.
the Bills were last week, insofar as I really thought I saw a play where the Bills players kind of held up and they're like, we'll let him get out of bounds. We don't want to touch him.
Exactly.
That's not going to last forever. Like players are going to be
No.
like, well, if you want to play to it, we're going to play. And the chips are going to fall. They fall. Unfortunately, if he falls on his head, I don't know if he's going to be able to play again. It really is concerning. And he seems like such a sweetheart too. Like
He does.
every interview he does, like he's well spoken. He's like family guy. You just want to see him do well. I love the Rams. I'm rooting for the Rams, but it's hard not to root for Tua. And Tyreek Hill, he has his character stuff with his kid and his wife and everything, but that's none of my business. He's a great NFL player, and it's hard not to root for him on the football field too. He's a really talented. He might be like the best receiver in the league, not named Justin Jefferson. I'm not worried about him being 30, 31. I still think he's got it, I guess is where I'm going with that.
For sure. I mean, his numbers haven't been great this season, but I think we'll have
had two
one or two games.
Yeah. Well, and you can probably speak better to this, and I don't know about any numbers, SamMeeBee, that you might want to share, but when you guys lost two, I'm just like, they don't have a backup. Like, I wasn't worried about Skylar Thompson, even Brett Huntley. Like, it's a nice story, but what he did with the Ravens a few years ago, like, the Ravens are a great organization. One of the best in the league. You can't just expect him to come in and do what he did for the Ravens a few years ago in Miami. It's not the same team.
Yeah.
No,
I know.
Absolutely not.
I know their week 1 win against Miami, or I forgot who they played week 1.
Jacksonville. They were down and they came roaring back, pun not intended.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember they won on a walk-off field goal, and then I know, and I forgot what week it was, but I think it was like the first 5 or 6 weeks they didn't lead a single minute because they won on the walk-off field goal. And like I said, coming into today, they're dead last in points scored. They're 15 points behind the Giants, who have 7 now. So if
did they score?
Yeah, they got 7 now. So now they're 22 points behind the Giants. So depending on how this is, they can finish this week still in last place in points. And I was looking it up. There's a lot of teams at 2-6 or 2-7. Also to include the Raiders and Patriots. So when I asked earlier about do you bench Tua, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but say the Patriots lose this week and the next 2 against the Raiders Patriots. At that point, the Raiders Patriots are lower than you in the draft ranking. Do you almost sit Tua to hope to get a better high pick?
That's a good question, SamMeeBee. I appreciate
I'm glad you brought that up.
Because they're all same record right now. And I know Dan talked about you don't want to tank, but at that point, you're far from the season where
I don't believe in tanking. I'll admit, certainly there are those rare instances where I guess it makes sense, but I believe, and this is really cliche and corny, I believe in trying to build a culture of winning.
Yeah.
And when you take losses, it weighs on people and it hurts. And even your stat about Tua, he hasn't they beat Jacksonville week 1, but other than that, his win-loss record has not been good since the end of last season because the Dolphins were red hot, and then they teetered off and don't even win a playoff game. Which again, I don't even think Tua play in that playoff game. He might have missed.
He played.
That was the game against Kansas City in December, and
that's right.
Remember, it was like -4 there. And they were explodes. And we are not a December team. I don't think people understand how warm Miami is in December.
And I remember I texted my buddy. I said, hammer the under Tyreek Hill yards. He didn't believe me. And I think by kickoff, the yards were down almost 15 from when I locked it in at. So sometimes you want to hop in on that. And I did say earlier, Miami, Tua specifically, is 1-6 in his last 7. Yeah, he missed some games this year, so it does go back to last year. And I wanted to highlight, you mentioned Jalen Ramsey earlier. As Rams fans, we know he doesn't shadow the number 1. He just stays on one side. And the Rams, I mean, every team's running motion, so I'm not saying they're the most team that runs motion. So I'm almost wondering who's he going to be lined up against, Maybe it's like if they see Puka is on him, now we're going to send Puka in motion. I almost wonder who is he actually going to be covering. I wonder if they're going to send that person in motion every time.
That's a really good question, and I think what's kind of fun is that both offenses, because McDaniel and McVay they were all with the Kansas City, the Washington Commanders, formerly Washington.
Commanders.
I shouldn't say formerly. They're now the Washington Commanders. They were called something different then, but they were all working together under Mike Shanahan. And I guess I just share that to say both offenses, they use a lot of motion, they use a lot of trickery. Both offenses have a 1A, 1B at receiver, in my opinion, because I would say Hill and Waddle are as good as Cooper and Puka. You guys have we've got Kyron Williams, who's great, but you guys have H-Chain looks really good too.
That's what I'm saying. The offenses are literally mirrored. Yeah, they're mirrored. They literally mirrored each other. So whoever holds the ball last is going to win the game, man.
And Jalen Ramsey's great, but to your point, SamMeeBee, I think the Rams, if he stays on one side, I think Stafford would be wise to look at the other side. I mean, I don't you guys had that other corner, but is he still on the Howard?
Xavier Howard?
I can't think of his name. I believe you guys had another corner, but he got in some trouble, I think.
Mm-hmm. But I do know what I did. I want to pull up here in a second. I did make a few picks last week. I gave out 3 picks against the Rams Seattle game. I went 2-1. The only loss I had was Puka yards. By this point, you don't have to be a Rams fan to know that he got ejected, so it didn't get the over yards. But I locked these odds in a few days ago, Thursday, so some of them did move. I had the Rams -1, Stafford over 259. I believe these are all through DraftKings. Bet responsibly. Not a sponsor. I think it's down at 257. I took under 10.5 points in the first quarter. The Rams do not score much in the first quarter. I think they might be able to slow Miami down a little bit to start off. That is now down to 9.5. I wouldn't touch it at 9.5. If you can find a 10.5, I'd still take the under. And Jonnu Smith, I took his under yards. I just feel like with Tua, I don't know if he's going to get targeted much. I think they want to try to get Waddle more involved. He only had 2 catches last week. Achane. Like I said, they have so many weapons. I don't know. It's either he's going to go off or he's not because there's so many weapons on that team.
I kind of agree with that, SamMeeBee, because when I think about the Rams and I think about them giving up huge yardage, like I think of them giving up a lot of points to Jameson Williams in week 1. They got crushed by Juwan Jennings against the 49ers. The Rams ultimately win that game, but he had a huge game. Just last week, JSN for Seattle has a huge game. So I could see them covering Tyreek okay, but then Waddle's going to be one-on-one, and I think he takes advantage. And it is Xavier Howard as the other cornerback for the Dolphins. So their defense is again, I don't think your defense is as bad as your record shows. Like, even last week, I happened to see the end of that game on Red Zone, and in my heart of hearts, I knew the Bills were not going to make a 61-yard field goal, and they did. I was wrong. I mean, that game was so close.
Yes.
I think the Dolphins are really good. I'm really I can't pick the Rams here.
Yeah.
Even with all the numbers that you're sharing, SamMeeBee, I just can't pick the Rams here.
I just want to highlight real quick. Like I said, some of these were locked in Thursday. I already sent the screenshot to Dan, so it is, I got the tickets for it. And Jonathan Smith, it's actually down to, I think, 34.5 yards. So a lot of people must be hammering the under, so I got it at a good number. And now I said the Rams are -1.5. So, but yeah, you're right. So if you're just catching up with us, Chad and I are both on the Rams. So Danny Stone is once again, I think 3 weeks in a row, going against the Rams.
Yep.
So we'll see. Next, I had the Rams 26-18, I believe it was. So thanks for tuning in. I'll kick it over around the horn. Danny Stone, you think you're write an article this week, right? Preparing for the
I'm going to put an article, game prediction article, where I'll pick Miami. I just got to write it today. I don't know when I'll do it, but I'll do it today. Probably post it tonight or tomorrow. Turf Show Times, check it out. It's fun. And Chad, just thank you so much for doing this. Just really thrilled to have you as a friend, but also as a Dolphins fan. It just gives a different perspective.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys putting me on my first podcast. So hopefully I'll do some more.
Yeah, well, feel free to share it with your friends. I would say we're very amateur, but we like to have fun. We like to have fun around here.
Nice.
Sure.
Second one, Dan said, thanks, Chad, for joining us. Give us insight of Miami. It's easy for us, like the Rams fans, and look for the positive things. But, I want to hear from, the fan of the other team. How are they actually looking? Last year, Dan had a friend from New England. It was fun hearing his side of things. So
yeah, that's American actually introduced Chad and I, in all fairness. And like I said, I hope he does it when they play New England. He said he would. We just, schedules get busy.
Of course, that's a late. Are you able to watch the game? You're over in Germany. What time does that game start? Like,
that's like 2 in the morning here. I'm debating. I might stay up and watch it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Awesome. Well,
I'll be watching it tomorrow. I got to do my game, the game thread, and then I'll do the post-game press conference. I'll write an article on that, and I'm even thinking about taking Tuesday off because those late night games are tough. I'm up to like 12 or 1 getting all my articles in, and then I got to get up for work. It's tough sometimes to say.
Yeah, and you don't check your phone while the game's on. I had some funny insights last week, and you're just ignoring me.
SamMeeBee, it's not personal. I was glued to the TV. Even Kaylee, bless her heart, she came down. And she's like, this game seems really stressful. And I was like, I'm losing my mind. Like I try to be calm, but last week against Seattle was such a close game. It was so back and forth. Like the Rams look great, and then they give up 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes to end the half. It was nuts. Whatever. Yeah. Oh man, Miami really makes me nervous, man. I think I'm going to be glued to the TV again. So if you text me and I don't respond, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dan knows. I unfortunately had a free bet that was about to pay out $3,900, and the Rams went to overtime and it lost. I was so devastated. I'm like, I'm turning the TV off. I don't even care who wins. So they let me down going to overtime.
I was so happy they won. I felt bad. I told Kaylee, I'm like, he's bummed about his bet, and I don't really care. The Rams won. Like I was so happy.
Yeah. I'll tell you about it here in a moment. But that was it. Thanks for tuning in for the Rams Dolphins Week 10 breakdown, and happy Veterans Day. Thanks for tuning in.
One love.